Respect and fear don't come from kindness. That's the first lie you were taught. Watch closely. The people everyone listens to, they're rarely the nicest in the room. They pause before they speak. They don't explain themselves. They let silence do the work. Here's the uncomfortable part. Most people don't respect strength. They respect what they don't fully understand. Fear isn't loud, it's subtle. It sits in the space between words. Machiavelli saw this centuries ago, long before social media, long before offices, meetings, or networking, and he warned about something most people still ignore. If you chase respect the wrong way, you lose both respect and power. But if you understand the psychology behind fear, people adjust around you. They listen harder. They hesitate before crossing you. Most never learn this. That's why they stay invisible. Stay with me, because once you see this pattern, you'll never unsee it again.
People like to believe respect is earned through kindness, honesty, and effort. That belief feels good. It's also incomplete. Human behavior doesn't run on morality first. It runs on survival. From childhood, the brain is wired to scan for signals of threat and safety, not danger in the dramatic sense, social danger. Who has power? Who can affect outcomes? Who should not be challenged lightly? This is where respect actually begins. Watch how people behave around someone they truly respect. Their posture shifts, their tone softens, they choose words more carefully. Not because they were told to, because their nervous system told them to. That reaction isn't admiration, it's assessment. Machiavelli understood this before psychology had a name. He saw that humans don't respond to intentions, they respond to consequences. Here's the part most people miss. Fear doesn't mean terror. It means uncertainty about cost. When someone isn't sure what happens if they cross you, the brain fills in the gap, and the brain always assumes risk. That's why predictable people struggle. They explain too much, they reassure too quickly, they rush to prove they're harmless. Harmless feels safe, safe feels ignorable. Think about workplaces. There's always someone everyone is nice to, and someone everyone is careful around. Same title, same authority on paper, different energy. One is readable, the other is not. Respect grows in that unreadable space. Machiavelli's insight was simple but brutal. People don't fear cruelty, they fear instability. If your reactions are controlled but not obvious, people monitor themselves around you. They don't know your limits, so they stay within them. This isn't about intimidation, it's about perception. The mind respects what it can't fully predict. It submits slightly to what feels self-contained. That's why silence is powerful, why restraint unsettles people more than anger, why calm dominance outperforms loud confidence. Most people give away leverage without realizing it. They narrate their thoughts, they reveal their boundaries, they make themselves easy to map. And once you're mapped, you're managed. This is the foundation Machiavelli built on. Not evil, not cruelty, understanding how respect actually forms in the human mind.
Most people believe fear destroys respect. They've been taught that fear makes others resent you, resist you, turn against you. That sounds reasonable. It's also misleading. What actually destroys respect is weakness disguised as goodness. Think about it. Have you ever watched someone constantly try to be liked? Always agreeing, always explaining, always softening their words. At first, people smile. Then they test. Small interruptions, subtle jokes, tiny acts of disrespect. And when nothing happens, the testing escalates. That's the part no one talks about. Fear, in its controlled form, doesn't push people away. It organizes them. Here's the flip most people never consider. People don't rebel against authority they respect. They rebel against authority they don't take seriously. Machiavelli warned about this exact mistake. Trying to be loved without the ability to enforce boundaries is fragile. The moment pressure appears, love evaporates. Fear, when misunderstood, sounds ugly. But psychologically, it's simply awareness of consequence. A child behaves differently around a parent who follows through. An employee acts differently around a leader who doesn't need to repeat themselves. A room goes quiet when someone enters who never begs for attention. Not because they're cruel, because they're consistent. Here's the uncomfortable truth. People feel safer around those who can impose order. Chaos creates anxiety. Clear power reduces it. That's why strong leaders are often described as intimidating by those who want access without accountability. Another belief to break.
You don't lose warmth by being respected. You lose warmth by being unpredictable in the wrong way. Explaining everything makes you predictable. Apologizing preemptively makes you small. Oversharing turns authority into a group discussion. Machiavelli understood timing. He knew that restraint creates gravity. When you don't rush to correct others, when you don't react immediately, when you let silence sit, people start answering questions you never asked. Their imagination fills the gap, and imagination is far more powerful than explanation. This is why fear and respect often rise together, not because of threats, but because of presence. Most people talk themselves out of power. They reveal too much. They clarify too soon. And without realizing it, they teach others how to treat them.
If this is starting to feel uncomfortable, that's a good sign. It means you're seeing patterns most people miss. Think about it. You're not learning tricks. You're noticing how people actually behave when power enters the room. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Every pause, every reaction, every shift in tone suddenly makes sense. This is the kind of awareness that quietly changes how others respond to you. No announcements, no performance. If this perspective is clicking for you, you're already ahead of the curve. And staying aligned with insights like this, that's how you stop playing catch-up while others keep guessing.
Power shows up in behavior long before it shows up in words. Watch who speaks last in a room. Not the loudest, not the most emotional. The one who lets others talk themselves out first. That person isn't waiting. They're collecting data. Dominance isn't about control through force. It's about control through pacing. Machiavelli understood this instinctively. He knew that the person who reacts slowly sets the tempo, and the person who sets the tempo shapes outcomes. Here's a real-world pattern. Two people get challenged. One explains, the other pauses. The explainer gives context, intentions, justification. The pauser gives nothing. Guess who looks powerful? Silence forces the other person to fill the gap, and when people fill gaps, they reveal motives, insecurity, and leverage. This is why dominant individuals rarely overreact. Emotion leaks information. Calm withholds it. In negotiations, the first person to rush toward agreement loses ground. In conflict, the first person to defend themselves gives the attacker control of the frame. Machiavelli wasn't teaching cruelty, he was exposing mechanics. If you want influence, you must control perception, and perception is shaped by what you don't do as much as what you do. Notice how dominant figures set boundaries without speeches. A look, a pause, a short response that closes the door. No drama, no explanation. That economy of movement signals confidence and capability. It tells others, I don't need to convince you. People test less when they sense resistance, not loud resistance, structural resistance. Here's the risk most people ignore. If you're always accessible, always flexible, always accommodating, you become usable. And usable people are rarely respected. Dominance comes from selectivity. Where you spend energy, who gets access, when you respond. Machiavelli warned that generosity without limits breeds contempt because it teaches others that your resources are endless. They're not. Power isn't aggressive, it's contained, and contained power creates pressure without effort. Ignore this dynamic and others will unconsciously lead you. Understand it and you shape interactions before words even start. That's real dominance.
Power isn't obvious. It's hidden in perception. Notice how intelligence works socially. Not grades, not titles, not certifications. It's subtle signals. A confident glance, a measured pause, a word left unsaid. People fill silence with assumptions, and assumptions are more persuasive than facts. Authority isn't earned with explanation. It's assumed when behavior creates uncertainty. When others can't predict your limits, they defer. Machiavelli called this strategic ambiguity. He understood that people obey what they respect, fear, or misunderstand. All three together, unstoppable. Here's a truth most overlook. Perception outpaces reality. You don't need to be the strongest, richest, or smartest. You need to be believed to be capable of consequences. Look at how subtle actions dictate influence. The person who doesn't react to gossip controls its spread. The one who chooses silence over rebuttal forces others to self-censor. The one who keeps small victories private amplifies perceived power. Social intelligence is manipulation by observation. Watch, listen, pause, act when it matters. And here's the part Machiavelli emphasized. People reveal their weaknesses without realizing it. Fear of losing status, fear of judgment,
fear of exposure, they all leak in micro-behaviors. Your job isn't to exploit recklessly, it's to notice, calibrate, and position yourself where others comply without noticing. Authority isn't declared, it's felt. Every gesture, pause, or glance contributes to it. Even your absence shapes interactions. A well-timed withdrawal can generate respect and hesitation stronger than 1,000 speeches. Most people misread power because they focus on outcomes. Machiavelli focused on mechanics, how influence forms, spreads, and sustains itself quietly. Here's the final uncomfortable insight for this section. People respond less to what you do and more to what they think you might do. Perceived capability is more potent than demonstrated action. And when perception is mastered, influence becomes effortless. Those who ignore these hidden rules, they remain reactive, predictable, and easily led. Those who understand them, they command rooms, conversations, and decisions before a single word is spoken.
Power is seductive, and seduction comes with blind spots. Most people think they can master influence without consequence. They're wrong. Every move you make in control, every subtle manipulation carries hidden costs. Not for you at first, but for those around you. People notice patterns subconsciously. They remember unspoken slights, silent judgments, withheld approval. Even if you never said a word, the tension lingers, and tension creates enemies. Machiavelli warned that the cunning leader is always in danger of being misread. Those who fear you quietly plot. Those who respect you quietly resent. Here's the harsh truth. If you ignore the social consequences of dominance, your influence decays. Overreach, overcalculate, underestimate human perception. Power attracts mirrors and predators alike. Some mimic your methods to compete. Some test boundaries to see if you crack. Some subtly undermine you while appearing loyal. Fear, if mismanaged, becomes isolation. Respect, if forced, becomes resentment. And most people never recognize the danger until it's too late. The other risk? Complacency. Once you see yourself as untouchable, you stop observing, you stop listening, you stop pausing. That's when small cracks appear and influence slips away silently. Machiavelli's point wasn't to terrify you, it was to make you vigilant, to understand that control is a living system. It needs constant calibration, observation, subtle adjustment. You can command attention, influence behavior, and bend social currents, but only if you respect the hidden architecture of human psychology. Ignore it, and you're just another person explaining themselves too much, revealing too much, fading too quickly. Master it, and people move, pause, and strategize around you, often without realizing why. This is the dark side of influence. The power to shape perception comes with the responsibility to maintain it, or risk being devoured by the very system you manipulate.
Here's the truth most people refuse to admit. Respect isn't given. Fear isn't punished. Both are earned, silently, invisibly, in the spaces between words. Machiavelli didn't write for the timid. He wrote for those who want control without chaos. Those who understand that influence is a quiet force, felt, not announced. If you've been paying attention, you've already glimpsed it. The pause before speaking, the weight of observation, the subtle ways people adjust around you. These are the levers of real power. Not money, not titles, not charm. Perception. Use it wisely. Master it. Because once you see the patterns, you can't unsee them. And if you ignore them, someone else will shape your world before you even notice. The people who understand this operate on a different level. They're noticed, respected, feared, without drama, without aggression, without explanation. So consider this your first advantage, a lens that reveals what most people never notice. If you want to keep sharpening this awareness, catching patterns, reading intentions, controlling influence, stay aligned, watch closely, learn silently, and move with the kind of subtle power that changes everything. Because once your presence speaks before your words, you're no longer just another person in the room. You're the one they pause for. And that is where true control begins.